everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today is part 2 of my nonfiction November wrap-up. You guys know there's going to be some fiction mixed in there, but yay! I'm going to be doing a full wrap-up, focusing on only the nonfiction that I read, so I can go a little more in depth into some of them. But I will be doing that after, and they will all be mentioned in this wrap-up, so if you're not interested in the hyper intense nonfiction only wrap-up, then you can skip that when it posts, but it will be coming. So these are the books that I read during the Gobble-a-thon. I'll link the wrap-up for that down below. I've already done a review, and one of them will be discussed more in depth later. This is The Foxwoman by Kai Johnson, Helen Oyami, The Opposite House, Goth by Otsuchi, The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Meryl Sparks, Deidre Kelly, Ballerina, Sex Scandal and Suffering Behind the Symbol of Perfection, The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace, and A Tree or a Person or a Wall by Matt Bell. Matt Bell is now one of my favorite authors to pick up, so we shall see what else comes from him in the future. Huzzah! Okay. So let's dive into these. The first one, this was sent to me for review by the Roman Littlefield Publishing Group, and this is the Diagnosis, Treatment of Dissociative Identity Disorder. It's a case study by Ronald A. Moline. Now, this one for me was really hard. It took a little longer, and I didn't track it on Goodreads because it's a little hard to explain how I read it, because it was all over the place. It took a lot of different parts, a lot of different time, and a lot of different energy, even though it's only 180 some pages. I suffer from GID, dissociative identity disorder. I will link my mental illness video down below talking about what it is, what my diagnosis means, and all those things. This book is fantastic for someone who has never heard of DID. This book is also fantastic for someone who is new to the diagnosis of DID. This book is also fantastic for someone like myself who is diagnosed, fairly well read in the diagnosis, but also needs reassurance that recovery is plausible. And that was really what this did for me more than anything, was the idea that recovery was actually plausible. This addresses all different forms of treatment, from hypnosis to hospitalization. This talks a lot about the in-depth part work and the trauma recovery, the experience, and the amnesic barriers. It's really, really well written. It's very medical, but I very much enjoyed it. It's not for everybody, though. I will tell you that right now. If you have no interest in DID, don't touch it. Don't. This is As If, the oral history of Clueless, is told by Amy Heckling and the cast and the crew. This is by Jen Chaney. I liked it. Love the movie Clueless. Really liked the idea of it. But I found it very YA. It wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to go... Clueless is such an iconic piece that really affected the social verbiage and the trends of the time. It kind of introduced a new world of the 90s and wealth and brands. It was really interesting and really well done. And it's a very beautiful nod to the story Emma by Jane Austen. I really enjoy it. I think it's a fantastic film. This book fell short for me. I enjoyed it. I laughed. I giggled. I really wish that it was something that if you hadn't seen Clueless, it would make you want to watch it, but I think this is more for the Clueless fan than it is for the Clueless questioner. Does that make sense? I think that's how I want to put that. This is the new Jim Crow. This made me angry. This frustrated me. This infuriated me. This made me sad and cry, and it caused a lot of emotions and tenseness, and I will be doing way more conversation on this. This is talking about the mass incarceration of the age of colorblindness. This is talking about racism and the communication that racism is no longer an issue. This is talking about all of those things that Black Lives Matter is so so hard trying to voice. I think this needs a whole thing. I don't think I can just sum it up in one whole conversation, but it was fantastic. You should read it, but get ready to want to yell at someone. Again, it will get more attention later. This is the regulars. You guys have heard my story about this. If not, I will link my Boston book haul video down below. This is the regulars by Georgia Clark. This is a magical realism story of a group of 3 friends working in New York City who end up taking a drug that causes them to be pretty and causes their life to change and to see what life would be like if they were pretty. Now, this has some very well loved diverse characters. None of the characters are 100% likable, but diversity is something that is represented in here in terms of sexual orientation, in terms of gender fluidity, and in terms of race. The feminist undertones of it were fabulous, but you need to really dive in. It's a really good beginning book. It's kind of Only Ever Yours meets Devil Wears Prada. Very interesting. Very well done. Really good read. Easy to get through. Super fun, but definitely it was a lighter read than I was expecting. Let's put it that way. It was lighter than I expected, and it missed a couple things, and then it hammered home a few things in a way that I didn't think was necessary. Does that make sense? Liked it. Really thought it was fun. Enjoyed it. Would recommend it to people who really enjoy lighter reads on feminism but still want that edge, but may not be the ultimate feminist text. Sex, Lies, and Handwriting. Olive, link below. I'll link her review on this. It was fantastic. Her review was an interview with the author, which was amazing. I have to admit, I've been really obsessively looking at my own handwriting ever since I read this book. Like, really obsessively looking at my handwriting. I feel awkward and weird. I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like I hate a lot of what I learned because there's a lot of things that you see and you're like, oh wow, that I wouldn't have even thought of that, but it makes total sense. This talks from beginning to end about the brain writing that comes from your brain and not from your hand and enters onto a page, and what you are telling the world through your handwriting. It's really fascinating. It's really engaging, and it's very well written. I actually really, really enjoyed it. I think this was one of my favorite pieces of nonfiction I read this month. I completely recommend it, especially if you are interested in psychology and serial killers, because there's a lot of context in here talking about that, which was weird, but I loved it. So there's that. I really enjoyed it. I definitely would recommend it to anyone. And again, I'll link Olive's interview with the author down below. Buddy read this with Adam from mementomori. Link his channel below. We both thought it was cute. I don't think we thought it was anything to write home about. This is the Rabbit Back Literacy Society, and it's by, how do I pronounce that? Passia Lemari Juskilian. This is a murder mystery that takes place in a very twee, quiet, cozy read. Adam referred to it as a snow globe world. Very cute. Read it right after the election, so it was just kind of what the doctor ordered, but at the same time, not that fantastic. I really like the representation of Alzheimer's, though, so I gave it a 3-star thing, but it... Don't, that star rating thing right there. Like, I'm not a star rating person. I don't really like it. It always makes me feel weird. So I do it on Goodreads for you guys, and I think about it, but, like, as far as this goes, it wasn't for me. It's not my cup of tea. I can see why it's fun. I can see why it's a fun read for people who like mysteries, and it really dives into, it has a really fun mystery revolving around literature and murder. It's just really, it sounds really weird and, like, creepy, but it really wasn't. It was just very cutesy, and I don't like cutesy, so it just didn't do it for me. This is Romantic Outlaws, and it's by Charlotte Gordon. This is Mary Wollstonecraft and Mary Shelley, mother and daughter, changed everything pretty much. This is fantastic. I adored it. It was long. It was chunky. It was a lot of work. It was exhausting. It involved like 50 pages a day, and then I'd have to put it down, but I got through it, and it is a really beautiful nod and very, very nonfiction literature and feminism, and, you know, the idea of how they changed a lot of the world. It's really well executed, really well done. The cover, I think, is absolutely stunning. That's a side note, but I really enjoy the cover. I would absolutely have to go back and reread it because it's so jam-packed with facts. It is not a book that is lightly written in a nonfiction way. It is packed full of facts. So this is one that I'm going to have to revisit on and off throughout my life. Frankenstein is one of my favorite books of all time, but now has like jumped up in the ranks because Mary Shelley is such an incredible human. I really think that what she was doing was so much more commentary on society than it was just writing a good horror story. And it was really brilliant, really well executed, really well done. I really enjoy this book. I think it's really fun and interesting, but again, facts. Lots and lots and lots of facts. Okay, this is Sandy Jeff's The Mad Poets Tea Party, and it's from Styx Press, and they are a Australian publisher. This takes feminism, fairy tales, Alice in Wonderland, schizophrenia, and medication, and jams it into one book, and does it beautifully, wonderfully, darkly, perfectly. This is perfection of poetry. I loved it. I adored it. Absolutely recommend it. If you can get your hands on it, do so. Get ready for a really dark roller coaster ride, though. It's like being in a Wonderland asylum. It's fantastic. All right, guys, that is my part 2 wrap up of November. Tomorrow is December. That is insane. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. Oh my God. Yeah, tomorrow is December. All right. So that's a thing. I will see you every day the next month. All right. I'll talk to you then. Bye.